let's get into our rumors segment. So many nuggets of information to get through here, Tom. We'll start things off with something that just came through to us
about 20
in the
minutes before the
news.
show.
Yeah, Marshall Newhouse has been cut by the Oakland Raiders, according to reports.
Look, for me, in reality, this is not a surprise for the Raiders cutting Marshall Newhouse. And we did some Raiders show last year's.
And we're tossing up four heads on this one, Tom.
It's a done deal. He's been cut. Field Yates was the first to report it. We've mentioned this in the past. I mentioned it. I'm like, guys, Marshall Newhouse is not that good. I watched him play for the Bengals. I watched him play. Like, he's not good. And Raiders fans like, no, he'll be fine at right tackle. He wasn't very good. No surprise there. This is not a surprise to me. It saves the Raiders a little over $1.5 million. They still need a right tackle, but they're going to cut him. He can go see if he can get a backup job somewhere else. He just wasn't very good on what, in reality, was a down year for the Raiders' offensive line in general. This is not a surprise to me. The Raiders had to move on.
So we're giving that one 4 Goodell heads. It is indeed news, and Marshall Newhouse surrendering 38 total pressures for the Raiders last season.
Not great.
That was most among that front 5 there. So we're giving that one 4 Goodell heads.
He missed 2 games, by the way. I want to make note of that as well.
Yeah, that's certainly a good point. All right, let's go into the next nugget of information here. The Cardinals, are they in on Kirk Cousins? Could they sign him? Well, we're not giving this many Goodell heads. In fact, we're giving it 1 Goodell head. Not very likely. Tom, I just think it's a really tough situation for the Cardinals because they don't have the salary cap space that the Jets do, and they don't have that Super Bowl kind of ire like the Vikings. So I think they're kind of on the outside looking in this hunt.
Look, they'll make a push, and they're going to be aggressive, but I'd be really surprised. And I know that Kirk Cousins' sister lives in the Phoenix area. I think that helps them for a push here to do it, but I'll be very, very surprised if you see the Cardinals end up getting Kirk Cousins. I think they'll look elsewhere at quarterback. Maybe it's a guy like A.J. McCarron. Maybe it's somebody else, but I just don't think you're going to end up seeing Kirk Cousins go to Arizona. They're in the mix, but they're very much the dark horse, underdog type.
If you're not a loyal NFL Daily watcher, you may be wondering why you see all of these Goodell heads out here, and of course 1 Goodell head indicates that it's not really likely. Small shred of truth here. 0 Goodell heads. It's complete fake news. Luckily, we have no fake news to report on the program today.
None today. We've had it in the past. It's always fun. 2
Goodell heads. People are most certainly talking.
Did I tell you what happened? Okay, very quick tangent here.
Okay.
The Cowboys report on YouTube, someone said I can't use fake news if I'm a liberal. YouTube comment.
You're a liberal.
Give me more of those. I'm actually not, which
You're
is very
a crazy
funny.
liberal. Unbelievable. All right, 3 heads, more probable than not that the story is true. And then 4 heads, it's fact news. It is a thing. All right, we have a lot of 2-headers in this edition of NFL Daily.
We do.
Let's get to nugget number 3 here. Jimmy Graham, could he be going to Green Bay or perhaps back to New Orleans? People are most certainly talking about this one, Tom. 2 Goodell heads. From what we understand, it's going to be one of those 2 teams.
I like it. I like this idea. That's why it's only 2, because it's not narrowed down to 1 team, so we'll keep it 2 heads firmly in that rumor category. I don't know if the Saints have all the cap space necessarily. I also wouldn't rule out a team like the Houston Texans, because I think that Houston has the cap space to need a tight end with some uncertainty around C.J. Fedorowicz. The Packers, though, hey, we'll talk more about them and Allen Robinson and some other guys later on the show when we go through the top 25 free agents. This is a different MO for the Packers. They're looking to be a little bit more aggressive in free agency than we've seen in years past, and I like it for Green Bay.
All right, 2 Goodell heads on that one. Let's get to the next note here. Are the Saints going to sign cornerback Malcolm Butler? The story goes like this, Tom. We're giving this 2 Goodell heads. You may recall the Saints reached out to the Patriots not too long ago, hoping to trade for Malcolm Butler. Maybe they can get him in free agency this go-around.
I think they have some interest, but I actually don't know how likely it is, because Marshawn Lattimore played absolutely incredible. He's their number 1 corner. Ken Crawley actually looked pretty good as well. I don't know what the future holds for Delvin Breaux. I like P.J. Williams as a nickel corner. I know the Saints are looking to add more cornerbacks, but I don't know if they're going to spend big money on them. Maybe they spend a later round pick, but I'm not quite as optimistic on the Saints and Butler as I would have been had they not taken Marshawn Lattimore and had Ken Crawley not emerged as at least a passable starting cornerback in the NFL.
You see there, they're expected to pursue Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie, who was recently released.
And that one maybe makes a little bit more sense if you want to demote Crawley to the 4th corner and want to have the option to play DRC at nickel, but DRC wants to play outside cornerback. So maybe that's not the best fit for the Saints.
All right, let's get to the next note here. The Packers, are they signing Allen Robinson? We're giving this one Goodell head, first of all, because the Packers have to figure out the Jordy Nelson, Randall Cobb situation, Tom. And then second of all, you got teams like the 49ers who are going to be getting in an all-out bidding war for this
Bears
guy.
as well. We'll talk some more landing spots for Allen Robinson later on in the show. I like the one head choice there, Cam, because it'd be fun. It'd be a lot of fun here. But here's my concern with the Packers. How are you going to afford him? Like, we thought they were going to cut Jordan Nelson or Randall Cobb. Now you're going to add Allen Robinson? Like, is that the way you want to spend your money? I think it's more likely to go spend money on a tight end and help solidify that and potentially cut Nelson and or Cobb. Frankly, if you sign Allen Robinson, I think you're cutting both Randall Cobb and Jordan Nelson. I don't think you're going to be able to afford all two of those guys at that point. I think you'll see him cut one. So I would be very surprised if in the end you end up seeing, the Packers end up with a guy like Allen Robinson. I am sure there's interest there, but I think with a lot of teams it's like, there's interest, but does it actually make sense from a monetary perspective? But credit to Green Bay, they're being aggressive in free agency from what it seems early on as we enter the legal tampering period.
Which is open right now, and teams
Yes,
can negotiate with free agents.
You just can't sign deals, but you can sign deals.
Correct. So for Allen Robinson, he is the most highly coveted wide receiver in free agency. I would say even above Jarvis Landry, or at least at this point, because Jarvis Landry's deal is already done.
Sammy Watkins, I think, is below A-Rob.
Okay. So Allen Robinson is a guy to certainly monitor, and the Packers have reportedly shown a fair share of interest in the star wide receiver, who's not too removed from that 2015 campaign where he really had a good season. All right, let's get into the next rumor here. The Broncos, are they putting C.J. Anderson on the trade block? We're giving this one to Goodell heads firmly in that rumor category. They're not expected to cut Anderson, but apparently the Broncos are fielding offers, Tom.
Well, I'm sure the Dolphins want him because Adam Gase just absolutely loves C.J. Anderson. If you're Denver, all of a sudden we're back at this point again. Why'd you match the offer sheet? Like, if you're going to get here 2 years later and try and trade him, and maybe even cut him, which would win the report earlier in the offseason, which doesn't seem all that likely now, why did you not just let him go to the Dolphins? Like, it's always weird to me to see that teams do this where...
Well, we have to assume this is accurate, by the way.
Yes, I do. But I think that with Denver, they drafted Devontae Booker. I know that they like him. Maybe you'll see them try and shop Anderson, so I actually could see this happening. $4.5 million base salary, and that's his cap hit. Not terrible. I'm sure the Dolphins would like to get him, even though they do have Kenyon Drake as well. So I do put some stock in this rumor, but it goes back to the offer sheet, and it seemed like Denver wasn't going to match it. Then they did, and now 2 years in, they're like, yeah, we'll look to move him. Maybe you shouldn't have signed the offer sheet in the beginning, and you could have saved that cap space. And they need it too, by the way, if they're going to afford someone like Kirk Cousins.
Exactly. All right, that's the latest on C.J. Anderson. Let's talk about Drew Brees now. Is he headed to the Minnesota Vikings? We're putting this with one Goodell head, small shred of truth to it, but I'm telling you, Tom, the Vikings have contacted Drew Brees' agent in hopes of perhaps pursuing him.
And I think some other QB-needy teams have reached out as well, Vikings chief among them. And here's the thing with the Saints and Drew Brees. His contract voids automatically in the start of the new league year, which is weird because it was a 5-year deal that's actually only end up going to be 2 years. And if the Saints don't get a new deal done by the time the new league year starts, all of a sudden, there is an $18 million cap hit on the New Orleans Saints if they lose Drew Brees. If you're the Saints, your deadline is ticking. You got less than 48 hours to go get a deal done with Drew Brees, or no matter what happens, you're putting $18 million on the books for him. You can get a new deal, restructure it in reality, and then allow him to, lessen that massive cap hit, and it's not going to be $18 million. But all of a sudden, what Mickey Loomis has done with the contracts to lessen the cap hit then is now coming back to bite the Saints. They have to pay the piper at some point. They're going to push it off again. But if you're the Saints, you got to get a deal done real soon, or else you're eating a bunch of dead money. Even if you keep Drew Brees and God forbid you lose him, all of a sudden you've got nobody at cornerback.
You're in trouble.
You are in major trouble at QB.
All right, we're giving that one Goodell head for now in terms of Drew Brees going to the Vikings, but stay tuned on that story. That'll continue to develop. Let's get to the next rumor here. Orlando Scandrick, does he want out of Dallas? Tom, we're giving this 4 Goodell heads. Yeah, he wants out.
I mean, not only does he want out, he wasn't going to come back anyway.
Yeah.
So this was one of the it's news, but it's not really news. Because everyone in Dallas, myself included, you included, Cam, everyone knew the Cowboys were not going to bring back Orlando Scandrick. Stephen Jones kind of let the cat out of the bag when he said, yeah, we're going to trade or cut him. Well, okay, thanks for letting us know. So when it comes to Scandrick, there was no way he was going to be back in Dallas. It was either going to be he was going to get traded or get cut. They have Jordan Lewis. They have Chidobe Awuzie, 2 early-round draft picks last year. They have Anthony Brown, who they like as a backup corner. Byron Jones is now moving to cornerback as well. There's no space for Scandrick to play. So maybe the Cowboys can work out a trade. I don't know if that's super likely. In reality, let's see the Cowboys go ahead and just cut Scandrick, and maybe a team like the Saints, who have interest in Scandrick, maybe that's their fit at cornerback to add some depth.
All right, so there's the latest with Orlando Scandrick. Finally, Rob Gronkowski, is he coming back to the Patriots? It's firmly up in the air, but I will note, has been working out at the TB12 Sports Therapy Center at Gillette. So something to hang on there.
That's Tom Brady's cult thing, right?
Yeah, it's like his workout facility. So we're giving this 3 Goodell heads for Rob Gronkowski to come back to the Patriots. Look, I don't think he's going to be retiring, at least this offseason, maybe next offseason.
I always kind of felt this was a ploy to get a better contract. Maybe that doesn't end up happening, but I think you'll see Gronk back with New England. And I think what Rapport said earlier in the year still rings true. He's probably going to come back. There just might not be a grand announcement of Gronk going out there saying I'm back and spiking a beer bottle or something. It just might be Gronk going about his business and he's back, and it's just kind of like, yeah, he didn't say it, but like he's here. He's working out, so he's not going to go anywhere. So I have every expectation to see Gronk play for the Patriots next year. And if he's healthy, unstoppable once again, because he is a freak, and it's so tough to stop in the NFL. It's basically impossible.